You know, if there's a hole in the ground, you might just want to avoid that. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to The Hole in the Ground. This is the next part of our Halloween special and the penultimate part. That's right, we only have one more Halloween special movie reaction after this, and it will be on Halloween night. So get excited for that. That's going to be a very good one. I'm already going to be at Youmacon during that time, but it's going to be, pre-scheduled to go up, so. That being said, The Hole in the Ground, I know nothing about this. I had never heard of this movie prior to looking things up for this Halloween special. I know nothing about who's in it. I couldn't tell you anything about it. I don't even know when it came out. All I know about this movie is the title. The Hole in the Ground could refer to a number of things. In terms of horror, there could be something in the hole in the ground. The hole in the ground could also be in reference to something specific like a well. The hole in the ground, like someone might get trapped in a hole in the ground. The horror is more like about like their mental state declining from being trapped in there too long. There's a lot of ways this could go. The Hole in the Ground as a title doesn't tell me much. It doesn't explain or express enough information to be able to extrapolate a lot of just elements to work with. It's very simple. And that means it could mean a lot of things, like I said. Simplicity is often surprisingly complex. I know that sounds like a contradiction, but think about it. Some of the most simple titles when it comes to movies and shows and stuff could have different meanings. And it can actually imply quite a lot of things. A great example of this would be John Carpenter's The Thing, one of the greatest horror films ever made, and definitely has the best special effects of any, probably film in general. The Thing is such a simplistic title. It's 2 words, and it's very simple words. Doesn't explain anything. It doesn't tell you anything about what the movie's about. It's just The Thing. What is the thing? The thing could be any number of things. The thing could be something underwater. It could be something in the sky. It could be an alien. It could be a monster. It could be a Sasquatch. I don't know. It's such a vague title. And that's also very much the point for the movie. If you've ever seen the movie, you would know that that actually fits what's going on and the mystery of it all very well. The vagueness and like kind of mystery element to the title is so actively like in line with the actual movie's plot that it's the perfect title. It really is. You couldn't have named that movie anything better. Nothing else would have worked on that same level as The Thing. And so I really think that John Carpenter nailed it with that. But also, sometimes that's all you need. So for The Hole in the Ground, it's like this could mean a number of things. It could like represent a number of things. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to mean. I have no idea what this is going to be about. But I am excited. We've been, I think, mostly good for this Halloween special in terms of things. I think last week's was the only one I really wasn't a fan of. And it wasn't even that horrible in the case, in any case. Let me just, I'm kind of curious here. Just to see. Yeah, the Green Knight was like the weakest one. But I loved Opus. And Saint Maud was great. So Opus and Saint Maud I both really loved. The Green Knight I was just kind of on. It wasn't bad, just not as good by any means. And wasn't as anything special to me. And so now we have this, and then we have The Monster, which again is another vague title, which is going to be on Halloween night. So, yeah. Very interesting to think about. But I'd say since there's not really much else to work with, we should just get into it. Let's check this out and see what we have in store. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So this was boring, if I'm being completely honest. I have not seen a lot of Changeling movies and stuff. The biggest one that I can definitely remember is the segment from A Christmas Horror Story. And that was done so much more effectively. It was so much, like, freakier and more intense and, well, scarier. It also had, like, honestly, I would say better acting. And was just a more effective way of telling this kind of story. This felt very slow and monotonous, and I understand, like, that might have been the point. It's to, like, build this tension, but I didn't feel tense, really. Like, because I figured out pretty quickly what was going on. I figured out it was a Changeling story. And at that point, it's just a matter of, like, seeing what actually occurs. There was nothing really frightening or tense or that interesting about it. The depiction was, I don't know, pretty basic. And, like, the creature, the Changeling only actually got dangerous, only got, like, violent when its identity was revealed. And in the end, it, like, also, like, kind of lands in a perfectly happy ending. Like, yeah, she's paranoid and everything now, but she got Chris back. It's not the creature in the mirror of the camera being shown. It's Chris. And it's just like nothing really occurred that outside of, I guess, Noreen's death that really worked to make it that, like, frightening or, you know, tense or anything. And Noreen's death also actually confuses me because the Changeling that became her son James presumably died when she hit it with the car. And I'm presuming that since it died in James's form, maybe it just remained in that form. It couldn't. It has to physically choose to change back. So maybe they, like, were able to bury James and stuff, like, because of that. But it's like James dying would mean that the Changeling wouldn't go after her. Her head was buried in the same way that eventually we see Sarah's head get buried by the Changeling. Which, by the way, there was a part of the movie where I was thinking she got decapitated because the way the scene was shown, and I guess seeing it on my OBS's smaller screen, it just looked like the head was cut off at the neck. And it was, like, very ragged and everything too, but no, I didn't realize she was just buried under. Though I think they said that shortly after, and it just somehow didn't click with me. I don't know. I think the cops were talking about it um, when they were getting her statement down. But either way, um, yeah, it's like, why are we to believe that the other changelings came out of the hole and like just killed her suddenly and randomly over a decade later, like a decade and a half later? That doesn't seem believable to me. Are we to believe Chris did it? Why? Because she was a threat to him or something? I don't know. That seems weird too, to believe that Chris would go all the way out there and like kill her like that. Though I mean, I guess he was leaving the house and everything, but I don't know. It just feels like there wasn't really a time for him to like do that much. But maybe I'm wrong. Um, Maybe that was the implication that we were supposed to go with. It just felt weird. It felt weirdly handled in that regard. Um, and like even when the changeling got violent, really wasn't anything special. It was just like, oh, he moved like kind of animalistic and like was very strong. Yay. Um, Again, in Christmas Horror Story, let me get that up real quick. Here we go. Bu- 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 Yeah, the changeling actually killed the father. I believe it was by decapitation. It doesn't say here. Yeah, and in the end, the guy who like they were the expert, Big Earl, Kim, the mother, shot him, and he was like imprisoning the changelings. So because they were imprisoned, they actually gave Will back. But like we saw the husband like get killed and everything, and it's like the tension was better. The pacing I felt actually worked better for a short part of a segment for a anthology film better than as a full film. Because the problem with this kind of thing is you have to stretch this out, even for like an hour 20 minutes, like this was without credits. You have to stretch out this idea, and because of that, they had to obviously introduce all these side characters, the doctor, the other people who had like gone through this kind of thing, the friends, the coworker of Sarah, and it's like none of them really felt like they added much. Like obviously, Des and Noreen were the most important, but even then, it's like what did that actually accomplish other than helping Sarah like realize what was going on? The thing is, like, she would have still realized it. She would have still they made again a point of noting that as a mother she would have noticed these small little things, and it's like it feels like the entire thing with Des and Noreen was just there to pad time because they needed to pad time. A story like this doesn't need to be long, and maybe it could be if it's executed right, but I don't think it was here. It felt very long. This is one of those movies that felt like an hour longer than it actually was. Like I'm seriously like there's multiple points where I look down at the recording timer. It's like we're only like 40 minutes in. Like really? I thought we were like based on I thought like the runtime was like close to the end or something. Like it felt so much longer because honestly it just wasn't that interesting. It was kind of like a very boring, typical, generic changeling story. It didn't do anything special, didn't do anything new. It didn't do anything like interesting with it. And again, it wasn't even scary. It wasn't even intense. It wasn't even like concerning. There was no point where you were on the edge of your seat. It's like it was just kind of disappointing. And I like the concept of changelings. I like that idea and what goes with them. But I just don't think it was well handled here. I just, I didn't find myself engaged with this movie. And I'm not saying that it was bad. I'm not going to say the actors were bad or anything. It's mostly down to the writing and pacing. It just felt so generic. It felt like a super generic, boring horror film. And the fact that this is A24 makes that surprising, because A24 is usually really great with making them seem, or putting out horror films, or, producing, developing horror films that are more unique and interesting. And even if they just put this out, they didn't make the film. They just distributed it or whatnot. Still, um, it just didn't feel like other A24 projects. And that's just kind of disappointing to me. Yeah, it was distributed by A24 in North America. I think Green Knight was the same way. I think it was another film that they didn't make or anything, so maybe that's why. They just acquired the rights to the film to distribute in North America. Because there's a lot of other production companies, Savage Productions, Wrong Men, Made, Irish Film Board, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of them. And the normal distribution in Ireland was Wildcard Distribution, with Vertigo Films distributing for the UK. It's just for the US that A24 distributed for. Apparently, though, surprisingly, and I don't really understand why personally, I guess, but this apparently got good reception. Take it with a grain of salt as always, form your own opinions. But Rotten Tomatoes actually gave it an 83%. And mind you, it was only based on 89 reviews, with an average rating of 6.3 out of 10, which, 6.3 out of 10 at average is not 83%. I'm sorry. It's not. But it says that it's The Hole in the Ground artfully exploits parental fears. I mean, I would not say artfully. I mean, and that's what the entire Changeling story has always been about, exploiting parental fears. That's the point. With a well-made horror outing that makes up in sheer effectiveness what it lacks in originality. So it's saying it's not original in any way, but it's effective, which I disagree. I don't think it's effective at all. And mind you, I guess I'm not a parent, so there's that aspect. But I've noted this in other reactions, that I have had parental instincts, even so. And there's a lot of times seeing kids in danger freaks me out and stuff like that. But it's I didn't find this effective. I really didn't. And here's the interesting thing. This was given 83% by the critics. The audience, which is 500 plus ratings, has it at 48%, which I'm more inclined to agree with. I'd say maybe upwards a little bit more than that, but yeah, it's critics are saying oh, modern concerns about the traumas of parenting in a way that freshens up the soil. It's it doesn't, though. The tropes of the sinister child subgenre, that's not what's going on here. That's not the subgenre this would be in. Well edited set pieces, eh. Let's see an audience review. Okay, there's some people who are saying that they really enjoyed it. Oh, here's one. I enjoyed watching the beautiful, I might mispronounce this, I apologize, Sayana Kerslake? The main actress, I guess. I enjoyed watching the beautiful Sayana for 90 minutes. The rest of the movie, not so much. 2 out of 5 stars. So it's okay, you enjoyed the one actress, but not much of anything else. This person says the movie created suspense and creepiness without gimmickry, which I, again, disagree with. I don't think that it was creepy or suspenseful. Here's one person who says it wasn't scary at all and gave it a 2 out of 5. Again, that's kind of my view on it. It wasn't scary at all. Nothing about it was scary. Nothing about it was tense. Nothing about it, like, it didn't really make me care enough. I feel like if it. I was talking about how this movie felt overly long, but if you wanted to at least make me care, it actually should have been longer because it didn't give us enough time to really care about their relationship as much. But if that's what you were going for, it over, creepiness and effectiveness, like it would have needed to be longer. If you wanted it to be more creepy and effective, you would have had it be shorter. So it's like no matter what, at the length it's at, I don't feel it works. I feel like it would need to be no longer than an hour if you wanted it creepy, effective, scary, tense, all of that. If you wanted to have it be in a more of an emotional story about, like, parental stuff and family and a mother and son and stuff, you would have had to have had it be like maybe an hour 40 instead of like an hour 20 in order to build up the characters a lot more. You would have had to like build up their relationship and make them actually characters I really cared about. If I'm being honest here, I just didn't find enough to really like get invested in. And also, like, I don't mind seeing the changeling designs very little in this. I don't mind that you get to see it. You barely get to see that. That's fine. But at the same time, it just feels like even like Chris as a changeling just feels like underutilized. It focuses more on the mother's paranoia than on Chris being a changeling, which you would think is fine because that's kind of the theme and point of the story just generally because the parental fears and all that. But I feel like they should be more balanced out. Chris being a changeling, because we need to sympathize and empathize with Sarah in order to care. And to do that, we need to be able to have more of like what she's seeing and what she's thinking. And I just feel there wasn't enough of that to really get a good feel or to like, see how Chris is acting and everything. I feel like if we got like a better view of like what he was doing in his room during all of this, if we saw what was on the camera instead of just like showing the cracked, broken screen, um, stuff like that. And like outside of him just acting a little weird by like, oh, he suddenly is okay with the powdered cheese. He's suddenly not scared of spiders, also eating them for some reason. He suddenly doesn't know their favorite game that they play, the funny face game. It's like that's all good clues, but those are the reveal moment kind of clues. We needed more clues other than him just like being a little different. Oh, he has friends now. That's weird. It's like, come on. It's like, really? You can do better than that. I just feel like a little let down by this. I would definitely say so far it's the weakest one we've reacted to this week or this month for a Halloween special. It's definitely the weakest. I would probably say my favorite is Opus right now. In fact, I think honestly each one has been like weaker than the last. I think Opus is my favorite, then Saint Maud, and then after that Green Knight, and now this. So it's like each one, weirdly enough, has been like, in my opinion, like less good. And I mean, I guess that doesn't bode well for the monster, but I'm hoping that breaks the chain. I'm hoping that breaks the um pattern. That's the word I was looking for. I hope it breaks the pattern and that we get a really good one to end off on. But we will see. We will see. Once again, the next reaction, the last one for the Halloween special, will be on Halloween night. There will be no movies next weekend. The Halloween special will be the final movie for October, and there will just be nothing coming up that weekend, because next week is already going to be adjusted anyway because of going to a convention at the end of next week. There will be more info in a update video I'm posting after this. Or, well, actually, no. What am I? I'm recording this on Friday. Keep in mind. So there will have been an update video that I posted on Friday. That gives you all the information on like the Halloween week schedule and all. So if you want to check that out, if you haven't already, please feel free. But basically, the gist of it is that there's going to be less reactions during this next week for Halloween week / Youmacon week. Just because I'm going to have too much to do with getting ready and stuff, and I'm not going to have the time to be able to do all of the reactions. So I'm cutting things back a bit, moving things around by days a little bit, and there's just going to be less. But the week after that, we'll be going back to our normal schedule. So yeah. All of that being said, tell me in the comments below what you thought of the hole in the ground. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.